Hello. Once again I come before you as a representative of the Illuminati. You may call me the man. Well, this week's topic comes to us from FIFA, and I'm sure this week's video is going to be incredibly unpopular throughout most of the world, given how popular football is around the world, or soccer as they call it in America. Yeah, but listen, I mean, it just has to be done. So let's jump right in. I'm sure by now most of you have heard about the investigations ongoing into corruption amongst FIFA, one of the largest organizations across the world that oversees, well, football in just about every country that has football. Whether you'd recall it first world country, second world, third world. Second world, I wonder where the second world is. And why is the... Anyway, yeah, so apparently... And by apparently, I mean there were a lot of people who were taking bribes in order to get certain things to happen, whether it be sponsorships or locations of the World Cup or so on and so forth. And by the way, the only reason you know this is because of us, and you're welcome, because it was part of our ongoing war against soccer. I mean, the Illuminati, and I speak for the entire Illuminati, hates soccer. And we hate it. We hate it with a passion. Let me just tell you why. Okay? Let me calm down. Calm down. And let me tell you why. It brought about the destruction of the Assyrian Empire. And I know you're, what are you talking, what? Soccer had only been around since 18, blah, blah, blah. Listen, the game has been ever present with humanity since there were humans and there were things to kick. All right? It's one of the first things you do when you're a kid. You see a ball, you kick it. You know, that's just all there is to it. And you call it football because, you know, football, not hard to do, you know. The Assyrians had a game like that. And it led to horrible riots and destruction amongst the empire itself, which of course allowed for other empires to rise and the Assyrians to fall. So it's all traced back to soccer. I know you don't believe me. That's fine. Listen. We're the ones that have all the records from the Assyrian Empire, the ones that the Anunnaki left us when they were here 1,000 years ago. So anyway, we've got all of that, so trust me on this when I say it's destructive. And I'm not the only one that thought so, okay? All the way through history, people have gone, you know what, maybe we should calm down on this this football business, okay? It was banned in England at one point by... I think it was King Edward III or something like that. Anyway, you know, it's just over and over and over. It's just been a problem with society. It just causes so many problems. And it's not your fault. Listen, I'm not blaming you. You are human beings. Everybody who's watching this is a human being, unless there's some sort of a cat or the Anunnaki you stuck around or watching. But listen, everybody's watching this, human beings, and it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. It's just being human. When you look at soccer or football, what you're looking at is a game where nothing happens. People run up and down a field kicking a ball. They almost score, but they don't. Most of the time, the ball gets kicked back that way, or it gets kicked back that way. And hey, something almost happened, but it didn't. And then it all ends, hours later, in a tie. It's great. The frustration that builds up in that, because people naturally are drawn to sports, especially males. It's like substitute warfare, you know? My group is better than your group. So we prove it. We prove it on a field, either with a sword or a knife, or we put it on a field with a ball or a bat or something like that. Nobody actually gets hurt, hopefully, unless somebody, I don't know, headbutts somebody else or bites them. So, yeah. But when you get out there and you see the field of battle, and everything is building and building and building, and then nothing happens, well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to get very frustrated. You throw in alcohol with that little combination, you're going to get riots. And then you're going to get the destruction of civilization as we know it. Happened to the Assyrians. I'm telling you, they were human just like we are. But anyway, so we in the Illuminati have been combating this scourge of professional soccer forever. Okay? As long as it's been around, which is just like 1863 or so. We saw where it was going. We had the records from the Anunnaki. We saw where it was headed. And so we thought, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do to stop it? You know, America, as I have often said, is the great experiment. So we tried, you know, it was too late. The rest of the world, it was starting to get a hold. We tried America. We thought we can isolate America, Canada, you know, there's oceans. So we can do what we can do here, and then we can spread it to the rest of the world, just like we did with entertainment, you know, eventually. So yeah, maybe we can do that. So to that end, we took games that almost existed and kind of tweaked them. And we took games that did exist already and elevated them to professional levels. And so over the years, we gave you baseball. Hey, you want something where something doesn't happen? You got baseball. You're bored to death all the way through it. That's fine. Still, better to watch than soccer. You don't believe me? Okay. Well, okay, so you don't have as much running, so you don't get wrapped up in all that. You know, eventually somebody comes to the bat, somebody swings. Are they going to hit it? Are they not going to hit it? Who knows? Maybe. Their batting averages say they're really not going to hit it most of the time anyway. But then you got bases that things are run around. Okay, that's fine. Well, you know, it's kind of a sport. It's not really a sport, but it fills in for a sport. Actually, we call it a pastime. It's the nation's pastime. So we elevated that to a professional level, and it worked pretty well. I mean, we were able to export that to some places, and it's really caught on in other places. Japan, oh boy, they're real big on that. And, you know, of course, some places in Central America. Okay, that's fine. Hey, listen, you want things where people go back and forth on the field? Let's just make it smaller and cover it in ice. And you got hockey. Right? Hockey is ice soccer. So you swim back and forth and everything else. Not, you know, it's more active, and you don't have to worry about how long it takes for things to happen and stuff like you do in soccer, where you got to go from one side of the field all the way to the other. Much smaller field. Everybody's compressed. Much more likely somebody's going to score, even though the net's smaller. And at least you get to see people fighting on the ice. I mean, that's just part of the whole enjoyment of the thing. That way you don't have to in the parking lot. You can get drunk, watch the fights, go home, everything's fine. Don't drive, by the way. Anyway, yeah, so we got ice soccer. That worked okay. Except, of course, where it's kind of hot most of the year. And that actually didn't even catch on in the United States. So anyway, basketball. You want basketball? Okay, same thing. You got a field. You got two goals. Everything's fine. You run down one side, run down the other side. You got a dribble. It's handball, really, instead of football. Anyway, you go back and forth. You shoot. Most of the time, something's going to happen, you know. You're either going to bounce it off or whatever. You don't have one guy's blocking the goal. You got everybody blocking the goal. It's much more exciting. Gets you into it, you know. Sometimes a little bit too much. Usually the riots are just like college level riots. They're not professional riots, let's just say that, and they don't really spread too far. So that was kind of a success, I guess. And then, of course, we instituted football, American football. We tried to take the name away, you know. We did two things, okay? We changed the name of football, which in England was association football, association, as opposed to rugby football. And so, you know, it got shortened to soccer, from association, the SOC and association. It was a whole thing. Anyway, it worked, okay? So soccer, hey, what do you go, what? You know, the English ear hears that soccer. That's where you hit a woman, right? You soccer. Soccer? I don't even know her. No, the old joke. Anyway, yes, so we made it very unpleasant to hear. Soccer. And then we took the name football and we gave it to something else, where you actually just grab a ball and you throw it and you catch it and you hardly ever use your feet unless there's a score or you have to change possession. So, hey, that was really, really, really popular in America and hardly anywhere else. So, yeah, that didn't quite catch on. And then they started wearing armor and getting 600 pounds and hitting each other, and now there are concussions everywhere. So we're still tweaking that, okay? But soccer just doesn't go away. Football across the world just seems to hang around, and people are so dedicated to it. We just... Most of the inroads that we made against it, well, they were undone by movies such as Bend It Like Beckham and other things. You see, there's another group, okay? It's just, we've been finding out more and more about them since the Anunnaki left, most of them, and they were content to hide even more in the shadows than we were hiding, and they were made up of people that we didn't need anymore once the 70s passed. And yeah, the Obfuscati, they just work against us, okay? Maybe they think that the end of civilization might be a good thing. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to come up with their own stuff. We're working on it. We're trying to figure out what they're up to. But they're behind things like that, things that make football more accessible to especially Americans. Well, yeah. hate it. So now, hey, we get to expose corruption in it, and hopefully that'll put a dent in it. No, it won't put a dent in it. We know. You know, you love your football. That's fine. Try not to hurt anybody after it's done, okay? If your team loses, or worse, ties with somebody else's team, just let it go. You know, just enjoy the game for what it is. People running around in the grass kicking a ball. That's all it is. It's not real warfare. Don't turn it into that, will you? Please? I don't know. It might make the world a more kind and gentle place in which to live, and that's what we're all about here in the Illuminati, elevating all of mankind into a more prosperous, gentle, war-free future. And to that end, you know, we have a suggestion. We in the Illuminati would like to suggest to you that when you walk outside your house or apartment or tent or wherever you happen to dwell, and you look up in the sky, you see those chemtrails up there blazing, well, we say, why don't you just relax and breathe deeply